Hey guys, what is up? It is the Fast Break Report here, bringing you guys another vlog. So I want to talk about a topic that's maybe not as popular, but I think it deserves some attention because I am actually relatively excited to watch Timberwolves games now, and that is shocking to say because I was not interested in watching the Timberwolves play a single fucking game since they started the season because I was like, okay, I watched in the beginning of the season a little bit, but then I saw the train wreck this fucking offense was, and I was like, yeah, you know what? Too much talent, this ain't doing it, whatever. But I did make a video, I think back in November or October, saying that the Timberwolves were going to trade D'Angelo Russell. And the guy that it made most sense for them to trade for was Mike Conley. I have a video on that a couple months ago. If you find it somewhere, it's like, it's D'Angelo Russell something. Like, is D'Angelo Russell going to get traded? I'm not sure. But I talked about it. I talked about potential trades for D'Angelo Russell. And one of them happened to be Mike Conley. And ever since the Timberwolves made this trade, I've seen people just fucking berating it. They're like, oh, you know, D'Angelo Russell is way better than Mike Conley. Why the fuck would we do this? He can't score like D'Angelo Russell. Mike Conley's a less efficient player. He's a worse defender. Yeah, I mean, like, every excuse in the fucking book that you can find, in the book of excuses, people were pulling out for this trade, for trading for Mike Conley. Because all everybody looks at is Mike Conley's age, his efficiency numbers, and that's pretty much it. Okay, his overall ability. Everybody looked at that and was like, why did we trade D'Angelo Russell, a young player, for an old fart? Okay, that's what we basically are hearing and have heard ever since this trade happened. And when I saw it, I was like, this is good. Like, this is what they fucking needed. And I watched the Timberwolves play the Mavericks last night. And boys, I was actually excited. Like, I was entertained. Okay? I was watching Mike Conley get Rudy Gobert more involved in the offense than I think he's ever been. Okay? And if you think, like, if you watched that game last night, like, the Timberwolves fucking won. Okay? The Timberwolves beat the Mavericks last night. And Mike Conley had a great night. 4 of 8 from the field, 1 of 2 from the free throw line, 3 of 6 from 3. I think he had 12 points, 3 rebounds, 9 assists. Okay? And Mike Conley fits what they're trying to do perfectly. Okay? This is the difference. I will say this. A lot of people, we live in a time where everybody's worried about who's the better player, who's this, who's that, instead of who's the better fit. Okay? And there's such a thing like that in sports. Every sport is that way, whether it's football, okay, whether it's baseball, okay? Basketball is the same way. I know a lot of people like to take just the most talented people they can find and put them on a team. Yes, you know, in retrospect, that would make sense. But it's just the idea, some guys are incredibly talented, but they just don't fit what the fuck you're trying to do. Okay? And that's what D'Angelo Russell was. D'Angelo Russell was a great player playing on a team that he just didn't fit what the fuck they were trying to do. Okay? And yes, the main reason that they traded D'Angelo Russell is obviously because he was on an expiring deal. We all knew he wasn't coming back, so they had to get something for him, right? They ended up getting Mike Conley. And honestly, I think that's the best player they could have gotten. You know, I know a lot of people were like, oh, well, why didn't they go after Fred VanVleet or somebody like that? And I just think to myself, you got Mike Conley. And Mike Conley is a floor general. Yes, he's old, but he's still a capable player. He played 72 games last year. I mean, he's a legitimate floor general. Okay? He's a floor general. He's played with Rudy Gobert. I mean, this is a guy who's going to open up your offense like you don't even know. Okay? And on top of it, when you look at just Mike Conley compared to D'Angelo Russell was taking 13.5 shots a game for the Timberwolves. Mike Conley is going to take about 8.5. So guess who's going to get those other opportunities? Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, and Karl Anthony Towns. Those are the guys who are going to get those opportunities. And last night, it was beautiful. It was fun to watch. Granted, NBA League Pass was on some crazy shit last night. It seemed like the stream was crashing like every 5 minutes. But from what I saw Mike Conley, Rudy Gobert pick and roll work amazing. Okay? Like, it worked the way that it should have with D'Angelo Russell. Okay? They were setting screens. Mike Conley's getting open threes. I mean, Mike Conley had a 1 or 2 3-pointers that he was so open he could have did his fucking taxes over in the corner. I mean, it's just the idea. This is what they needed. Anthony Edwards was getting some nice looks. I mean, and then when Karl Anthony Towns comes back, think about it. You think Mike Conley, Rudy Gobert pick and roll action is nice now? Wait until Rudy Gobert and Mike Conley are doing pick and roll action and you have Karl Anthony Towns wide open in the corner. Okay? Like, honestly, Karl Anthony Towns is probably going to have a way more efficient season now than he was when D'Angelo Russell was there, because Karl Anthony Towns is actually going to get wide open shots now. Okay? Like, D'Angelo Russell was a guy who would get the ball, come down court, and shoot a fucking shot. I mean, I watched so many of these games where Anthony Edwards would come running down the court, and as soon as D'Angelo Russell got the ball, Anthony Edwards just start walking back the other way because he knows D'Angelo Russell's going to shoot it. And that's kind of demoralizing. It just goes to show you, to me, when I see players do that, I think to myself, okay, like, they've lost confidence in their point guard to even get them involved. And there were plenty of times I watched this team play, and they're just standing around on offense. There's no off-ball movement. You know what I'm saying? That has completely changed now that Mike Conley is there. Mike Conley's got guys, getting open shots. Him and Rudy Gobert, the pick and roll has been very nice. It's been very effective so far. And I just think to myself, man, like, this is what they needed all along. They were one of the worst spaced teams in the NBA when D'Angelo Russell was there. And I'm in no way, shape, or form advocating that Mike Conley's a better player than D'Angelo Russell, because he's not, okay? But Mike Conley fits what the Timberwolves are trying to do a whole hell of a lot better than D'Angelo Russell does. And you know what? I'm actually excited to watch Timberwolves games now, because I'm like, wow, their offense isn't going to be, Anthony Edwards isolation, D'Angelo Russell isolation, and Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns are just going to hope they get to touch the fucking basketball. We're not going to see that anymore. And you know what? If I'm the Timberwolves, I think the smartest thing you do in either free agency or the draft, they don't even have any fucking draft picks, I don't think, since the Rudy Gobert trade, but in free agency, if they can find themselves a young point guard who is capable of learning underneath Mike Conley about how to play with Rudy Gobert and how to run the pick and roll, how to get guys open and stuff like that, how to actually be a floor general, we know Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns, and Anthony Edwards are the future. We don't know if Mike Conley is going to be a part of the future. Mike Conley's getting up there in age, okay? But if they can get somebody for at least a year who can sit there and learn under Mike Conley, because Mike Conley's on a 2-year deal, he's got 2 years left on his contract this year and next year. If they can get somebody young in there who can learn to run that team underneath Mike Conley, they're going to be fine once Mike Conley is gone. And I feel like that might be another incentive they had for this. Like, people don't realize how good this was for the Timberwolves. You got a guy who's capable of shooting the three at like 36% on a good year. When he's getting open looks and he's not trying to take guys off the dribble. Mike Conley's a solid guy. He's going to get open shots. He can still stretch the floor for you. He's going to get other guys open. I mean, like, he's played with Rudy Gobert before, so he knows how to play with Rudy Gobert, which I think is probably the biggest beneficiary of this. And on second hand, also, obviously with all that, you get the opportunity in the offseason to bring in a young point guard to teach him how to play with Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns, and Anthony Edwards. Now, yes, last night there were some rough passes out of Mike Conley. I think that's just communication issues and not understanding the plays and stuff like that. But if you were to ask me, I think Mike Conley is exactly what the doctor ordered for this team. There is such a thing as having too much talent. We've seen time and time again teams where they just load up on talented players and think that that's enough to take them to the promised land. And that's not always the case. Point guard is like the quarterback of the NBA. All right? Sometimes, yeah, you need a guy who's going to go out there and score, and other teams need a guy who's just going to get everybody else open. And That's what Mike Conley is here to do. Get everybody else open. And honestly, he's going to play pretty efficiently, I think, for this team. You know, last night he had a really good night. Like I said, he shot 4 of 8 from the field, 1 of 2 from the free throw line, which, you know, it is what it is. And he shot 3 of 6 from the three-point line. Like, what more can you ask for? And he only had 2 turnovers and he had 1 steal. So it's like, what more do you really want out of Mike Conley? Yes, he could maybe be a better on-ball defender, but he's old. You know what I'm saying? And when Rudy Gobert's on the floor, I don't really know how much you're really worried about that. So it's just the idea, man. I love this trade. I think it's one of those trades that gets overlooked a lot compared to, you know, D'Angelo Russell going to the Lakers and Russell Westbrook going to Utah. Mike Conley going to the Timberwolves has the potential or the ability to change their season around. Like, I know that's a big claim, but like, we're talking about a team that has gone from no people moving on offense to like no offense creation at all, and no spacing, no off-ball movement, to a team that now we have off-ball movement. Now we have mismatches. Now we have guys worrying about Rudy Gobert under the basket to get Karl Anthony Towns open, Anthony Edwards open, Naz Reid open, and so on and so forth. So, you know what, man? I'm a fan of this. I plan to watch more Timberwolves games in the second half of the season here because of this trade, because I think this is exactly what the Timberwolves needed. So, anyway, tell me what you guys think about this down below in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on this. I like helps me out. Subscribe if you guys want to see more. I'm the Fast Break Report, and out of this motherfucker. Peace, guys.